What's up, everybody? Jack Acello back with another edition of Knicks Latest. What a fun episode we have today, and I say fun in the sense that today's just a chill day. The Knicks, we got a lot of time on our hands before the Eastern Conference Finals start, so we're going to talk about head coach Mike Brown, see where he's at this point. We're going to talk a little bit about the draft lottery, and we're going to talk about what's going on around the playoffs. Big story from the other night, Victor Wembanyama ejected. Certainly wanted to give a little bit of thought on that, obviously. We have some time to kill, so let's get right into it. Mike Brown, obviously. Why am I talking about the Knicks head coach? I thought this was a good time to mention it, like I said, obviously because we have time, but Mike Brown now has officially reached the same mark as Tom Thibodeau did last season, the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, to give a quick synopsis on the whole Tom Thibodeau versus Mike Brown story, last year, obviously, the Knicks lost in 6 games in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Indiana Pacers. Tom Thibodeau was controversially fired after taking the Knicks the furthest they've gone since 1999, their first Eastern Conference Finals appearance since the year 2000. So certainly it was a great season last year. So many fans were surprised, some were shocked, some agreed with the move. It was a very controversial decision. I debated with a lot of friends, family, people online, you name it. There was really no right answer. The Knicks then went out and they were flirting with other teams' head coaches. They were trying to get Jason Kidd to come in. That seemed like he was their top choice. They tried to go after a guy like Chris Finch in Minnesota, Ime Udoka from the Houston Rockets. They also weren't interested in any first-time head coaches, at least it came off that way. A name that I thought was very popular was former Knicks associate head coach. I believe he's now an assistant on the Cleveland Cavaliers, Johnny Bryant. He was a big-time guy for the Knicks. He had continuity with the players. A lot of people thought he was responsible for certain guys' development, so that was a surprise he didn't get an opportunity. A former championship-winning head coach like Michael Malone from the Denver Nuggets was available. The Knicks didn't even interview that guy. He was my personal top choice that I wanted the Knicks to bring in. And then the Knicks decided to go with Mike Brown. Mike Brown, an experienced head coach, no question about it. Obviously, he was a former head coach for the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Sacramento Kings, and he was a top assistant on teams like the San Antonio Spurs during the Tim Duncan era with Greg Popovich, and he was the top assistant for Steve Kerr during the Golden State Warriors prime dynasty run. I'm talking 4 All-Stars with Andre Iguodala as your 6th man. So certainly Mike Brown has been around and has been around great players like LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Tim Duncan. He knows how to coach, but he never really went super far without LeBron James. And, sometimes you have to question how good LeBron's coaches are. Shout out the best one, in my opinion, at least for now, in Ty Lue. We'll see if Mike Brown can change that this year, if he can win the championship. But he made it. He had a 53-29 regular season record, one more win than Tom Thibodeau had. But so far through these playoffs, he's looked fantastic. The Knicks fell behind 2-1, and I was very hard on him. I was very critical. It seemed like the Knicks were not focused and not making adjustments. And since game 3, I don't know what happened, but this team has completely flipped the switch. They've been unstoppable. They've won 7 straight postseason games. They've played 10 postseason games in which the Knicks have an 8-2 record, and they have a 19.4 points per game margin of victory. We talked about that on yesterday's show. It's the largest margin of victory in the 16-team playoff format was created in 1984. So certainly they're doing a great job on that aspect. Their margin of defeat is only 1 point in their 2 losses, so they were right there. They're taking care of business. It's that simple. They're dominating their competition. They're a better team, and they know it, and they're not playing around. Tom Thibodeau was a great coach for the Knicks, but that was a big flaw. It seemed like the Knicks always let their competition that was beneath them hang around and beat them for the most part. And all of Tom Thibodeau's playoff runs, the Knicks lost to teams that were seated below them. So that just can't happen every year. And right now it hasn't happened, thankfully. We'll see who the Knicks end up playing. They're a lower seed than the Detroit Pistons, but a higher seed than the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll see how that series is going to end. But certainly, Mike Brown is taking care of business, as I said. 8-2 record, and they just look so focused and locked in. But now his biggest test comes. If you had to ask me, was it a right decision or not, go with Mike Brown versus Tom Thibodeau, I would say it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter right now because it got to the same point. It wasn't wrong. It wasn't right. It's the same thing. There's no difference at this moment in time. But the biggest challenge Mike Brown is going to have now, obviously, the Knicks took care of business. We wanted them to sweep Philadelphia, which they did. They have 7 days at minimum, I believe 9 days maximum of rest and recovery before their Eastern Conference matchup, whether it's Detroit or Cleveland. How do you keep this team focused and locked in? That is going to be Mike Brown's biggest test right now. Obviously, you love when your players get rest and they're going to have extra gas in the tank. You love when they have time to recover, especially OG Anunoby, who today, at the time of this recording, or not, excuse me, yesterday, keep getting the days mixed up. Yesterday, Ian Begley of SNY went on the show The Putback. I watch his show every day, so I get it mixed up, so excuse me. Yesterday, he said that he expects OG Anunoby to be ready to play for game one, whoever the opponent is. So that's a great sign, obviously, and we bought ourselves time. That's what we needed to do. We bought him time to heal up and be 100% ready to play. It was huge we were able to win 2 games without him, because OG Anunoby's been one of their best players. But besides him, how do you keep guys like Karl Anthony Towns, who's playing the best basketball of his career, locked in? Mikal Bridges is having an offensive hot streak right now. How do you keep him steady and keep him going at the same speed and working the same way? How do you keep Jalen Brunson? Obviously, you expect he's going to be locked in, but certainly, how do you keep guys like Jose Alvarado and Landry Shamet? Landry Shamet's shot's been on point. You know, there is a risk for having so much time off. Guys lose rhythm and guys lose focus. The Knicks have just absolutely been dominating the competition, so you don't want to see them lose their edge. That is Mike Brown's biggest challenge, and it could define the rest of this season. What will Mike Brown do, and how will he keep this team mentally sharp? It's going to be interesting to see. Is he up for the task? We're going to find out. Now, I want to switch gears. We're going to not talk about the Knicks a little bit in this aspect. We'll mention them a little bit here, but we've got to talk the draft lottery. That happened on Sunday, on Mother's Day. And for a team like the Knicks, who haven't had any lottery luck since 1985, they weren't in this draft lottery, but it went as good as it could go for them for the most part. So the draft lottery, like I said, happened Sunday. Here are the top 8 teams. These are the teams I kind of want to mention. Number 1, the Washington Wizards. Utah Jazz at 2. Memphis Grizzlies 3. Chicago Bulls 4. The Los Angeles Clippers at 5. We're going to talk about them. The Brooklyn Nets at 6. The Sacramento Kings at 7. And the Atlanta Hawks at 8. First thing I want to mention, this one just hurts me a little. Not really, but I thought I'd mention it. The Knicks, of course, if only the pick was unprotected, because we make smart trades, but of course, pick protections are so stupid in the NBA. I can't stand it. If you're trading a draft, if you're getting something for trading a draft pick, why do you get to protect that pick if it turns out that your organization sucks and you just get the pick back? No, you got to give to get. If you're trading a draft pick, you should lose it. But either way, I don't want to go into that because I could talk about that all day. The Knicks own the Washington Wizards' top 8 protected pick. Obviously, it was protected. It turned into number 1. The Knicks honestly could have almost come away with the number 1 pick. I thought I'd mention that first. That would have been so nice to have, as certainly as Giannis rumors are now starting to spread. Reports yesterday are that the Bucks are open for business and they could possibly want to trade him before the draft. That could be a negative for the Knicks, obviously, because we're still in the playoffs, and if we don't end up winning a championship or making the finals, you'd at least like to have the option to see if you can go after him and possibly get him. But we're not worried about that right now. The Knicks are focused on winning the 2026 NBA championship and getting to the NBA finals. That's the mission right now. But certainly, sucks, could have had the number 1 pick. Anyway, but the thing I want to talk about 2 teams the most here. Two rivals of the New York Knicks. Let's start and let's keep it in town. The Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets, they've had a lot to say for the 20 to 25 fans that they have wherever they're scattered. Nets fans on Twitter, Nets Muse, wherever you look, they keep saying, "Oh, you guys are so stupid. Mikal traded for 5 first-round picks, and those picks are going to be in the high 20s." And the Nets have been tanking their asses off for the last 2 years, and the second year in a row, the Nets were tied for the highest odds for the number 1 pick, and yet again, they fell. They fell. They had a 14% chance to be number 1. They fell all the way to number 6. That is just terrible. This is the second year in a row they've fallen. So they've had 2. They're gonna have 2 picks in the high 20s from the New York Knicks, and then they are and I believe their pick last year, by the way, was Ben Saraf. Ben Saraf, I believe, did not even played half the season and was averaging 5 points a game. So certainly, you know, he's more valuable than Mikal Bridges, who just absolutely dominated and was the MVP for the Knicks in their second-round playoff series matchup. But yet again, the Brooklyn Nets fall in the lottery. They get no luck whatsoever. They will not get their hands on a guy like A.J. DeBonza, Darren Peterson, a Caleb Wilson, or a Cam Boozer. They miss out on the big 4 in this draft. So, Net fans, do you think you're in a better position? And by the way, I remember all those years ago, Adrian Wojnarowski tweeting out, it's a clean sweep for the Nets. They get Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and DeAndre Jordan. And Net fans were going crazy. It's their town. It's their city. Since that happened, how many conference finals have the Brooklyn Nets made? 0. And how many conference finals have the Knicks made? Dose. Back to back. They are going to their second one. So, Brooklyn Net fans, if you're out there listening, please like and subscribe as always. I appreciate your watch. If you hate watching, go ahead. But certainly, whose town is this? That's all I'm going to say on the Brooklyn Nets. But the team I mainly want to talk about is one of our arch rivals, our good pals. Not really. I hate them. The Indiana Pacers. The Indiana Pacers, how luck has turned to the Knicks' side. The Indiana Pacers made a bold trade this season at the trade deadline. They traded for Clippers big man Ivica Zubac, and they traded away Ben Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, a second-round pick, an unprotected 2029 first-round pick, and they made a risk here. They had a protection 1 through 4 and 6 through 10 on their first-round draft pick in 2025. So the pick was unprotected if it landed at number 5, and that pick would go to the Clippers. If the Clippers didn't end up with that pick, it would be an unprotected pick in 2031. But that part of it does not matter because the pick turned out to be number 5, and the Clippers end up getting the Indiana Pacers first-round pick. That was just music to my ears. I can't stand the Pacers. They're going to be a threat next year, no question about it. But they thought they were going to get a big man, and then they were going to possibly get the number 1 pick or a top 3 pick and add another weapon, which would make the Knicks' lives harder because the Pacers are going to be a contender next year. Tyrese Halliburton is going to be back, unfortunately, and he's been a problem for the Knicks. As much as I hate him, you got to respect that. The Pacers have given the Knicks trouble. They eliminated them the previous 2 seasons, so certainly they will be a threat to us. There's no question about that. So that them not having another weapon, another amazing talent, they tanked all season, and they're not going to get a draft pick. And Zubac is a good player, but he's not a great player. He's a good center. He'll score low double digits. He'll get rebounds, but he's going to be a questionable fit for the Indiana Pacers. Don't get me wrong. Rick Carlisle's a great coach, and I'm sure he's going to figure it out. But with Tyrese Halliburton, the Pacers are a run and gun, spread it out 5 wide behind the 3-point line. Let the 3 ball fly. Ivica Zubac is, give me the ball in the post. I'm going to back down dribble, and I'm going to lay it up and in. I'm going to get put back dunks. That's not the Pacers' style. So he's a questionable fit, and they gave up a premium draft asset. Not to mention Ben Mathurin, a very talented player who's in this league at some point is going to consistently average 20 points a game. He's going to be a good player for the Clippers, and the Pacers could have paid him. They chose not to, and they gave up 2 first-round picks in it. So ultimately, they lost this trade. Their team president went on the Pat McAfee show, and he apologized. So certainly, they are acting like they lost this trade. So that is certainly beautiful, and that is music to my ears as an Indiana Pacers hater. So certainly, good things are happening. What was the point of tanking? Also, lastly, the Hawks pick. The Hawks are a team on the up and up. They also fell in the lottery. They had the Pelicans pick, so certainly good things for the Knicks on that front. So good draft lottery results for the New York Knicks, so certainly thought we would mention that. Now, before we talk about what's going on around the rest of the league, a quick word from our sponsor, Kalshi. The playoffs are here, and it's the most electric time in basketball. On Kalshi, you could trade every single playoff game. Right now, we're in the second round. Like I said, though, every playoff game, every series, the conference finals, and the championship. Right now, the Knicks are in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they're waiting to see who their opponents are. Unfortunately for me, the Pistons are trading at 70% to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, meaning a $100 trade pays out to $142 if they win the series. As the playoffs heat up, those numbers move in real time, and you can buy in or out at any time. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house, and as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use the code FANARCHBASKETBALL, all caps, no spaces, to get $10 when you trade 10. That's KALSHI, Kalshi. Trade on anything. Now, let's talk about what's going on around the league. I want to mainly focus on one storyline. The Thunder, Lakers, there's no point in talking about that. I don't want to go too much into the Pistons and Cavaliers because I don't want to jinx anything. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hoping Cleveland can I want to play Cleveland. I think we're going to end up playing the Pistons. We'll see what happens on that front. But certainly, it's going to be interesting to see how that all ends up happening. But Sunday night, Timberwolves, Spurs, Victor Wembanyama playing great basketball. I think the Spurs had that series in hand, but Victor Wembanyama, as great as he is, he did something incredibly stupid. And there was no need for it. He completely elbowed Naz Reid in the face. There was no reason for it. It was pretty much it was a dead ball. He just swung that elbow, knocked it into him. There was wind up. It was to the head and neck area, and Victor Wembanyama picked up a flagrant 2 and got himself ejected. Not a smart play, just a dumb decision by a young player that needs to learn. Wembanyama is very lucky. The NBA came out and they said he is not going to be suspended for game number 5. So he will be back, but you can certainly argue that Victor Wembanyama, there's a chance that could end up costing the San Antonio Spurs the NBA championship. Not the NBA championship, possibly the conference finals. The Spurs are a team that certainly have the ability to win an NBA championship, and to many, possibly even myself, there is a chance that the Spurs are the best team to possibly take down the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder are going to be in the conference finals. That's just a given. So Victor Wembanyama did something stupid. He got himself ejected, and the Minnesota Timberwolves went on to win Game 4. They tie the series at 2-2, and it is now a best of 3. Give credit to Anthony Edwards. He is playing through some lower leg injuries, a knee problem. He dropped, I believe, 36 points in game number 4, 15 points in the fourth quarter. He was truly remarkable. Naz Reid showing off the toughness, getting in there and getting it done. Certainly a talented group in Minnesota. They've been to the conference finals the last 2 years. They're hungry. They want to get over that hump just like the Knicks do. But Victor Wembanyama certainly could have cost themselves and his team the second round series and possibly a trip to the conference finals and beyond that. So very stupid. I just wanted to mention it. Victor Wembanyama is one of my favorite players to watch that's not on the Knicks. He is electric, 7'4", handles like a guard, can shoot the 3-point ball. The best defender, arguably, I've ever seen. Certainly the best rim protector. So just a dumb decision by an inexperienced player. I think he'll bounce back. I still am picking the Spurs to win that series, but certainly a lot harder, and certainly the door is open for the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's all I got for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this, obviously. Like I said, Knicks have a lot of time off. Thought we'd do a little fun episode. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave comments on anything I talked about today. Till next time, and as always, go Knicks.